All right, if you are an agent and you are looking for creative ways to market a listing that's moving kind of slow right now in our market, or maybe you represent the buyer and you're looking for a negotiating strategy that could save your buyer over 6 figures with just a small tweak in the way you present an offer, go ahead and stick around. In this video, I'm going to share one strategy that works on the buy and sell side that you need to be using right now with any of your clients. Let's dive in. All right, what's going on, everybody? My name is Tim Johnson here with RE Pro Tax and the Tax Savvy Real Estate Bros. Okay, I'm here at the home office today, which is why I don't have my typical background that you're used to. But I am wearing this dope hat. It's my cash cow hat. I bought it recently. I'm going to start wearing this when I go and tour properties that I think are going to be cash cows. And so this is going to be my new cash cow hat. If you see me wearing this hat, it's because good things are coming, right? Before we dive in, if you are an agent and you are looking at potentially buying your next primary house, stick around till the end because I'm going to share a story about an agent on our team and what they just did to buy their next primary with $0 out of pocket. And it's a tax savvy real estate strategy, literally that only agents can use. And so I'm going to break that down for you at the very, very end. So anyway, all this information, super, super helpful if you are representing listings right now. Maybe that's the majority of your business, or whether you are trying to find creative ways to drum up buyer business right now, since, you know, the power is kind of in the buyer's hands, depending on what market you're in. This strategy goes on both sides. It actually is a win-win for the buyer and the seller. And the only person that loses is the bank, which I love. And so I'm going to be talking to you today about how to have this conversation with your buyer and you're representing them and you're getting ready to write an offer on a property, and how to have the same exact conversation, right? It's the same exact strategy, but you're having the conversation with the seller and how to kind of navigate both these things. Okay. Now, the strategy revolves around seller credits and a permanent rate buy down. Okay. Now, before you just tune this out, a lot of loan officers right now have been shoving 2-1 buy downs down people's throats. You see new build communities doing this. That is their primary way of still getting buyers in the door and not having to reduce their sales price by much. Okay. I don't love it. At first, I was like, man, that sounds great. Like, we can get a really reduced rate. Like, we can go 3.5%, right, for the first year, and then it goes up to 4.5%, and then it goes up to 5.5%. That's a 2-1 buy down, is where, you know, for the first 2 years, it's a reduced rate, and then it goes up 1% each of those 2 years until it just stays there. I don't love that strategy. And here's why. The clients that I personally talk with, we're thinking long term. And so I'm never really representing a buyer where it's like, hey, I just met you and you came in from Zillow and I'm just getting ready to show you a house. And really, I'm probably never going to talk to you again, but I'm going to get you inside of a home. That's just not the way my business operates. I'm working with repeat buyers. If they are planning on buying real estate, we're mapping out a full 5-10 year plan for them and how they're going to acquire more properties than just their primary residence. And so when we're having these conversations, even if they're buying a primary house, the conversation is always around how does this fit into your future investment portfolio? Because most likely this isn't going to be your forever home. And if we can turn this into a rental in 2 years from now, let's do it and go buy another primary. Right. And so that's my reason for not loving the temporary buy down type thing. I'd love deals to pencil now. Let's make sure they pencil now and over the long term. Okay. And so with a permanent rate buy down, you would probably never really want to buy the rate down if you're having to pay for it. But in our environment right now, as a buyer, you hold power. So if you're representing a buyer and you're negotiating, you hold power right now. Sellers have been sitting on the market a little longer. There's really limited showings on a lot of properties that we have listed, and that I've talked with a bunch of other agents as well. It's like, it's not that you're getting like 10 showings and nobody just writes an offer. It's like you're getting like 1 showing a month, and it's been really, really bone dry, right? The consumer is just like, hey, pump the brakes. I don't know what to do. And so this strategy on the selling side, so if you're on the listing and you're talking and representing the seller, this is also a way for you to save the seller money in terms of negotiating, but also it's a way for you to help market the property and drive traffic in. Okay, so that seems to be the biggest problem for a lot of people that I talk to, a lot of agents, and for all of our listings here on the market is how do I get people in? I need them to come see the house. I need there to be some sort of draw, right? And so we have to get really creative in how we market the property and how we have these conversations and get people in. So let's start with the buyer, right? I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. So let's go ahead and look at this. So if I'm representing the buyer, here's the conversation that I'm having. And this is really cool because if you're representing a buyer right now, you can market this to attract more people into your buyer pool and help people kind of get off the fence and have them really start looking seriously at real estate. Which is, hey, I have a strategy that I use when we negotiate offers right now that are saving my client over 6 figures, right? Over 6 figures when they buy a house with me. And so here's how this kind of breaks down. Let's say we're looking at a house, the purchase price is about $750,000. Okay. We're putting a 10% down payment here. We've got a 6.85% interest rate. My payment's going to be about $4,400, $4,423 exactly on this. And now I'm not including any of the other things like mortgage interest and property taxes and things like that. I'm just looking at the mortgage payment because we can kind of get into the weeds if I look at all that. But for the sake of this video, we're looking at this. Okay, this is your monthly mortgage, $4,423. Okay, now let's say my client is like, hey. Look, Tim, I'm really looking to stay right at that $4,000 mark. What does this do to our buying power in terms of a 6.85% interest rate? Where do I need to be looking if I need to stay right around that $4,000 mark? You would need to stay right here at probably a $678 purchase price. That's a big difference in terms of what house, maybe what area you're looking in. I mean, that's a $70,000 difference. Okay, but here's what we can do when we negotiate creatively with our buyer clients. We can say, okay, right now, look, sellers are feeling a little bit of pressure, right? We might have been the only showing they've had in the last 2-3 weeks. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and write 2 offers. We're going to write one offer here at that $678 mark that you need to be at to hit a $4,000 payment. And then we're going to write another offer at, let's just say what their asking price is, $750 with a 3% seller credit. And that's going to be applied towards a permanent rate buy down. Now, right now, you need to check with your lender, your preferred lender right now. But what I'm seeing is 3 points, which is 3% in a seller credit. That's going to buy the rate down pretty close to a full percentage point. So we were at 6.85. Let's say we get the new interest rate down to a 5.9%. Okay, that's about $20,000 in seller concessions. And now we've got a estimated monthly payment of $4,003. Okay, so we're sitting right at that 4,000 mark. Great, fantastic. Here you go, client. If we wrote an offer where we can get 3% seller concessions and we apply that 3% towards a permanent rate buy down, we can look at $750,000 homes. We can get you in the area that you want. And I just saved you $420 a month on your mortgage payment. Fantastic. That's a massive savings in monthly mortgage payment. Okay. If we come down here to this next point, what would that new price need to be in order to match that $4,000 payment? It would have to be somewhere around that 678 mark that I told you, right? The new loan amounts at like 611, same down payment, 10% down payment. Now here's the big one. This is the difference to the net of the seller. Okay. In order to get that buyer the $4,000 monthly payment, the seller would have to do one of these 2 things. They would have to reduce that purchase price by $71,000 down to that 678 mark, or they can give a seller concession or seller credit of $20,250. Which one does the seller want to choose? I wonder, would they rather give $71,000 away or $20,000 away? Exactly, right? So this is where the way you present negotiating tactics is really crucial in your communication with the agent and trying to convey it in a very simple and easy way for them to then explain to the seller, right? And so this is the next piece. This is where I say, if you're representing the buyer, you're going to help them save over 6 figures with just this one negotiating tactic. It's right here. The buyer saves almost $151,000 over the entire life of the loan. just because of this 1% drop in interest rate. Okay. And so you can show them right here. You come to this graph here. Okay, we bought at 675. We had a 6.85% interest rate. My payment's 44.23. Okay, great. I paid a lot. Here's all of my mortgage payments over the 30 years. Wow, I ended up paying $917,000. Okay. Now, with the new proposed rate at 5.9%, instead of $917,000, I paid $766,000. I saved $151,000. I saved my client over 6 figures just by doing one negotiation tactic here. Okay. So a really cool way to have that conversation with your buyers who are kind of slightly on the fence about, hey, how can we get in with interest rates being high? I don't want my mortgage payment to be as high as that. And I feel like I'm going to be paying way too much in interest over the course of the loan. This is how we would walk through that conversation. Now let's go ahead and flip the script. Let's go ahead and flip this on the seller. You've got a listing that's been sitting a while. You're thinking about some price reductions. Maybe you've already done some and you're like, hey, we need to get creative. We need to get people in this house. We need to get some traction spurred again. And I really don't want to do a massive price reduction for the seller. Here's the conversation that I have with the seller. Hey, Mr. Seller, instead of doing a big price reduction, I know like in our neighborhood and kind of the neck of the woods, I've been talking with a lot of buyers and a lot of them are trying to stay right at that $4,000 monthly payment mark. So a lot of times they're looking at our house and they're saying, man, I would have to pay $679, $678 for that house in order for me to actually be able to do that with current interest rates. Now, you're not going to drop the list price of your seller's home by $70,000. So here's what we can do instead. This is actually, Mr. Seller, this is actually a great way that we can hopefully get some marketing leverage. We can get people in the house. We can hopefully drive a little bit more interest so that we get some more showings. All we need is 2 people to be interested at the same time to go ahead and create some competition. So that can help us as well. But this is also bringing this to the table in terms of negotiation. This is much better than reducing your overall asking price. We can go ahead and offer a 3% rate buy down. We can find a creative way to market this, right? Maybe I've got a sheet that kind of a marketing sheet that I create as a listing agent. I say in all my listings, hey, reach out to the agent for more information on a reduced rate or on the seller concession side or however I want to, kind of create that or master it. Then that creates a really cool opportunity for me to say, hey, Mr. Seller, here's what we can do. Instead of dropping a price $71,000, why don't we offer a seller concession? And that's only going to be $20,000 out of your pocket. Now, maybe you don't have to offer the full 3% right now, or whatever you want to do, but this showing them the difference in terms of price reduction versus just offering a permanent rate buy down and showing them how they can win as well. Really, this becomes a win-win for whether you're representing the seller or whether you're representing the buyer. And the only one that loses is the bank, right? They just lost $150,000. So having these conversations, being creative, practicing with people that you know in your sphere and kind of educating them a little bit on what the power of an interest rate does. I think a lot of people know that, but being able to show the math here really helps some of this stuff make sense. Now, I want to share a story that kind of ties in some of this information. So if you're an agent and you are looking to buy your next primary house, an agent on our team just did this. And it kind of loops in some of the negotiating tactics and strategies around seller concessions and seller credits. But it also loops in some of what I would consider a tax-savvy real estate strategy in using a commission towards a down payment. Okay. So this agent was buying a new primary house with a conventional loan. So they needed a 5% down payment. And they went under contract on this house. They negotiated upfront about a 3% in seller credits and a 3% commission to them, right? They're representing themselves. They're buying it as a primary. Okay. Now look this up. There's a lot of weird misinformation about this. Somebody was just telling me that, their team lead told them they couldn't do this, that they couldn't use their commission towards their down payment, which is just false. Fannie and Freddie both acknowledge that you can use your commissions towards your down payment. You just can't use seller concessions or seller credits towards your down payment. So the distinction there is commissions. Yes, you can get those applied directly to a down payment. Seller credits and concessions, no, that cannot get directly applied to your down payment. Those can get applied towards your closing costs. Okay. So he went under contract on this new primary house with a 3% commission. Okay. And his plan was, hey, I'm going to use that 3% towards my 5% down payment. It's going to go directly to that down payment. It does not come in through the brokerage. It does not go directly through me. It never touches my bank account. It gets applied directly at closing, which means that 3% doesn't get touched by tax. Okay. It's not considered income. It never came into your business. You never made it. It got applied directly to the purchase of the home. Okay. And the cool thing about this is at 3% on a $750,000 house, that's $20K. Right? And if I'm in a 32% tax bracket, let's say, or 37% tax bracket, that's a lot of money that I just saved just on the tax side, just from applying that directly to a down payment. So step number one, negotiate kind of upfront what you want, 3% down payment. And then he also got another 3% in seller concessions, which was actually the max that he could do with a conventional loan with just a 5% down payment. Now, the next piece of this was he went into the inspection period and noticed some things that, came up in the inspection. And so naturally, he negotiated some things during the inspection period, and he actually got another about 2% in total seller credits and concessions. So instead of taking care of some of these items in the inspection report and any of the repairs, he negotiated a little bit bigger seller credit. So he was now at 5% seller credits or seller concessions and 3% commissions to go towards his down payment. Now, the problem was he can't use 5% seller concessions with a 5% conventional loan. You can only use 3 max. Okay. So what he had to do here is renegotiate the way those terms worked out. And now, because he had already negotiated the seller concessions and seller credits and his commission, nothing was changing with the seller's net. So the conversation is a lot easier when that happens. Okay. So he went to the seller and he said, okay, Mr. Seller, instead of doing the 5% seller concessions, I need 2% of that to go towards my commission. And he just explained what the reasoning was. There's no reason to hold this close to the vest or not tell the seller. It doesn't change their net. And just being transparent is probably the best way to go. Hey, I'm getting my commission applied towards my down payment. I can't use these. And so the lender needs me to kind of redistribute the way these funds are laid out. So he ended up with a 5% commission, tax-free. Okay. So what is that on a $750,000 house? That's probably 35,000, maybe a little less, maybe like 33,000. 33,000 untaxed gets applied directly towards his down payment. Okay. And then he's got a full 3% in seller concessions to either cover closing costs, which is what he did, or he could do a rate buy down like we just talked about in the first half of this video, a permanent rate buy down if this was maybe going to be a different type of property for him in the future. And so this offered him a lot of options. It was amazing. He bought his primary house with pretty much 0% down. I think it was a couple $100 out of pocket, and all through negotiating. And it was definitely a win-win. The property that he bought needed a little bit of work. Seller didn't really want to take care of it. And at the same time, he gave the seller what they wanted in terms of asking price. And what happened is the appraisal came in a little bit low too. And so naturally he was able to just negotiate a little bit lower purchase price anyway, because the seller had to come down. So he really got his cake and ate it too. It was an amazing opportunity for him to get another primary house and start building that portfolio of rental properties as he turned, maybe his old primary house becomes a rental property. This is a great first step if you're an agent looking to finally get your first rental property. Maybe you own a primary right now and it's got a super low interest rate and it would cash flow as a rental. This is a great opportunity to go ahead and get into your next primary, upsize a little bit. Maybe your family's growing. Maybe you need a little bit more space, whatever it is, right? Work on your negotiating tactics, represent yourself really well, use a tax savvy real estate strategy like this, where you can apply your commission directly to your down payment. It doesn't come in as income, doesn't get taxed. It's an amazing opportunity for you to get into a property with pretty much little to $0 down. That does not mean he bought it with like a 0 down loan or anything like that. Like, he has equity in the property. It's not like getting really creative where you just leveraged other people's money to the max. And now you have $0 equity and you're going to be underwater on this property. No, you just did a really good job negotiating and representing yourself. And so just a quick tip there, a tax savvy real estate tip here at the end to kind of tie it all together. Now, whether you're representing the buyer or the seller as an agent, or you're representing yourself at buying your next primary, always be on the lookout for tax savvy real estate strategies that you can be using. Negotiate well for your clients right now. The market wants you to negotiate. It's probably the funnest time that I've experienced as an agent in having conversations with listings and buyers and all sorts of craziness. There's chaos in the market, which means there's blood in the water, which means there's opportunity. And so having these conversations is a lot of fun. If you are looking for more tax savvy real estate tips just like this, go ahead and feel free to subscribe, hit the bell notification, and you'll get notified when I drop my next video. I'm hopefully getting a little bit more consistent with dropping these videos. I want to start getting the message out and kind of help educate other agents and investors and business owners on how to buy real estate with a tax mind in place. And if you're looking to get integrated and start learning this information at a little bit deeper of a level as well than just here on YouTube, you can go to RE Pro Tax. So that's the letter R, the letter E, protax.com/academy. And this is for agents, right? If you're a real estate agent and you're looking to have conversations with your buyers and your sellers and your clients and your sphere around the tax benefits that come with real estate and really be able to speak that language with your high net worth individuals who are looking to solve a tax problem using real estate, the asset that you know and love and breathe and can sell them, then you need to get in our RE Pro Academy. It is our academy. We meet monthly. We also have pre-recorded videos on there diving into tax savvy real estate tips. But we meet monthly and dive into how you as an agent can reduce your tax bill by 6 figures every single year, and how you can use this information to grow your business, help your clients, and provide way more value than the average agent out there right now in a market that is demanding that you provide more value to your clients. And so it's a really good opportunity. Right now, I think we're listed at $97 a month. Super, super cheap for the information that can save you and your clients 6 figures every single year. With that, I hope you guys have a great week. If you haven't picked one of these up, I'm not selling them. Then I just bought this at Target, but maybe I should. You need a cash cow hat that you can wear to your next investment property walkthrough. And you're looking and you're saying, hey, this thing is a cash cow, right? All right, everybody have a great week and I'll see you on the next one.